Hello, hello again, and welcome to this week's edition of Pass the Controller. This time around, we got something special in store for everyone. Now that the dust has settled and everything is pretty much set in stone, kinda, with E3, I figured what better way to have another PTC than to just, well, review everything. Basically get everyone's opinions on things and figure out, essentially, who won E3. So, with me tonight would be Tony, Justin, and Jake. And so let's get right to it. Let's start off on the negative. So let's have some fun with this one. Let's start off with the negative in terms of.
This is an easy one.
Yeah. In that case, who do you guys think had the worst presentation at E3?
Nintendo.
Really?
Nintendo.
Really? Nintendo? Wow.
Yeah.
A three-way Nintendo bash.
Oh, it was really
Why
bad.
is that?
Okay, so those puppets were really funny. Like, that was probably the best part of their presentation, but everything they showed was garbage. I mean, they showed, like, what? 3 Wii U games? Like, if this isn't a sign that they're killing the Wii U sooner rather than later, I don't know what else is. I mean, Star Fox doesn't look that good, and from all like the impressions I've heard from people playing it on the floor, they said it doesn't work very well either. And then they have this fucking stupid Mario Party-esque Animal Crossing game with amiibos.
Yeah,
that looks dumb. And I mean, hey, I love Mario Tennis as much as the next guy, but that's not something that should be like a showpiece in your E3 presentation. Like, that's something you announce like during a Nintendo Direct, or as like a fun little side project. You know, that's not something like, hey, like get people all jacked up about. Like, I don't know, I felt like they could have really brought it this E3, and they didn't really. I feel like
they didn't.
They shat the bed.
Yeah, that I definitely agree with. It just, going into it, they were promising, it's like they promised a new Mario, a new Zelda, and a new Metroid. And what they gave us, it felt kind of like a somewhat bait and switch, because you're like, oh, maybe they're going to give us more details about the new Zelda game that's coming out for the Wii U, and it turned out to be Four Swords minus one.
Right. Well, they said ahead of time that they weren't going to talk about, you know, the new Zelda Wii U. Like they stood firm on that for months, so I wasn't expecting anything there.
But the Zelda thing, it was just, it's like, Zelda, or no, it was, I'm talking about like the Metroid thing.
Oh, that's even worse.
It turned in, well, it looks like a game that should not have been under the Metroid title. It looks like a fun enough game, but it doesn't really look like a Metroid game.
Does it really? Does it really?
To me, it looks like a game you use to a really young audience.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
Super young. But that game garnered 20,000 signatures against it within a few hours.
Yeah,
for that game to be canceled. I've never seen that after an E3.
I think it was just a lot of people kind of peeing their pants on that one in anger.
Well, I mean, you don't pick up a franchise like Metroid and pretty much drop everything that makes it Metroid.
Okay. Yeah. So if it didn't have kind of like with the I can't picture the game now, but it's a game that if it didn't have the title, it would be fine.
I wouldn't call it fine, but it'd be something you
it would be a fine enough kids game, fine enough multiplayer game for the 3DS.
And also, if it didn't have the title, it wouldn't sell at all either. That's the other thing.
Oh, that
But then again, Splatoon was a new IP.
Well, Splatoon is fun.
And yes,
this game does not look very fun at all. And like,
I remember.
How is it a Metroid game other than they're just slapping the name on there and putting a helmet that looks like Samus's helmet on there?
Yes.
Like,
okay.
There's nothing in the spirit of Metroid in that game. You could say that what's that game that they announced during the Sony press conference? It's like Recon or something like that. Recon, yeah. Like, that's more of a Metroid game than what Nintendo is saying it is. Like, it's stupid. It's really, really dumb. And like, I don't understand. I don't get it. Like, what is Nintendo thinking with this?
So
I don't get what Nintendo was thinking at all. Period. But to be fair, I think like next year Nintendo's gonna finally talk about like the NX and this is they're just like, we're just gonna kill ourselves this year. We're gonna fall on our sword.
Well-
Next year we'll be good.
Well, the Wii U has been out for a little while.
Yeah,
It's been out for like what three almost 4
years.
Yeah, like
Okay.
3 years. Next year will be 4, and most consoles last generally anywhere between
Five-ish.
5 to 7 years.
Yeah.
So it is reaching the end regardless. It's just
Not necessarily, because like this new generation is supposed to last a little bit longer.
it was
I feel
supposed to,
like.
yes, but then again,
But tell me what is the big splash that the Wii U has made? Like,
Yeah.
really,
aside
really
from Smash
nothing.
Brothers, well, the thing is, the Wii U had a very good year last year. Unfortunately, it seems like it's back to where it was.
I don't even think it's so much they had a good year last year. They had
Well,
a good year.
Mario
leading
Kart,
up
Smash
to
Brothers,
E3. No,
and Split.
I'm saying
Okay.
beyond that. They had
Okay.
a good year up until E3.
Yes.
First Nintendo World Championship in 25 years.
Yeah,
So,
that's the kind of thing.
awesome.
They started off so well.
yeah, Nintendo had
They started off so well.
But if they
For this
hadn't
E3.
had if this had been a normal year for Nintendo, this E3 wouldn't have been so bad. It's
Yeah.
that they are a victim of their own success, and then they did this E3, and the
Okay.
year's like, this is your normal level of crap, really.
Okay.
Like, to be fair, like last year's E3 was a stellar success in my mind for Nintendo.
For
It
Nintendo,
was the
yes.
strongest show last year.
Yeah, and then
Like-
they kind of crap the bed on this year. It's like, well, yes, I am psyched for Star Fox, and Mario Maker looks fun, or at least
That game-
the
that game does look
videos.
good.
I cannot wait for the videos that people are going to be making of Mario Maker.
Yeah.
What I like to call it Super Mario Brothers Bullet Hell Edition. So that's going to be it's
yeah,
going to be
that-
interesting. Like there shouldn't be this many bullet bills on a screen at once.
I
But-
think another exciting thing they do, at least in my mind, because my
Okay.
kid plays Skylander, so
Okay.
the Amiibos thing is definitely kind of cool.
That is if they stock them
Yeah.
properly.
Well, yeah, if they make it like they've been, I'm sorry, Jacob, no, none for you, no soup. But
Oh.
I think that's using them in an established thing in a different way. It broadens what they can do.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Okay.
So that was kind of cool to see them using the Amiibos. I want to see them use the Amiibos more, obviously. So
That yeah.
I mean, Mario. Okay,
yeah, go for it.
Mario Maker does look cool. I understand that's kind of the highlight of Nintendo's E3, but I don't really see that game selling consoles for them.
Okay.
Like,
No.
it's sell a
Yeah,
lot of,
yeah. It's going to be more for people who have the consoles. I will say that.
right,
Yeah.
but it's not going to help them, be less seen as little brother in this console race right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it does look like a very cool game. Like it's one of the
Yeah.
first level building games, like a Little Big Planet or something like that. That
Yeah.
I actually want to build a level in and actually buy it and play it. Like because there's no barrier to entry for me because
No.
I know how Mario works.
Yeah.
Like I know how this shit already works. So it should be easy to just jump in and start building stuff.
When
That
I was
being
younger, I
said,
made
like, if
stages
that's-
on graph paper. When I was younger.
Sure.
Yeah.
But like that being said, like you can't leverage your entire
No, you
E3 on that. It's
Yeah.
That I agree with. So yeah,
And that, the big reveal for the World Championship was kind of disappointing too.
yeah.
I
It was
disagree
fun,
with that.
though. It was
I thought
fun,
that
though.
was really really cool.
It was still
because
fun.
before the Nintendo World Championship, we only got a very very small glimpse of what Mario Maker was, and it seemed like nothing like it is now. Like they've changed a lot to the game. They've added a lot to it, and I think they finally took it in the direction that it needs to go. So I thought it was a really actually good
Yeah.
reveal. But again, like that's just not enough. After you had a really solid year,
Yeah.
and like right before E3, they had that
The ex-
Smash Brothers centric direct where they announced 2 characters and then they said, "Hey,
3
they're available
characters.
right now." Or well, no, but they announced
Or, yeah,
2
yeah,
as
fine.
it 2 that we didn't know
Two
about.
additional
Right, 2 that
okay.
weren't confirmed. There was rumors, but nothing else.
Yeah.
First time we ever saw them, and then said, "Hey, go buy them right now." Genius. That's
Yeah.
exactly how an E3 is supposed to be.
But
But it wasn't a part of their E3.
No, it
like
wasn't.
it was before that. It's almost like they knew they had nothing in their E3, so they wanted to get ahead of everybody else and do that announcement and have their moment in the spotlight, and then they could just fade away
Yeah.
during the
Yeah.
other press conferences.
That I agree with. But it seems that Nintendo's more focused on making their Nintendo Directs the big announcements rather than having a giant show at E3. It seems that they gave their big thing early.
To be
Yeah.
fair, I think that's what Nintendo's always kind of done. They've always traditionally had one of the weaker E3s. Like last year was the year that was different for them.
Yep.
For E3, which was huge. I admit, like Nintendo was my favorite show last year, but that's how they've always handled
Last
E3.
year.
It's not as big for them.
Okay.
But
That's
they've had some of the bigger moments in
Oh,
E3
yeah.
history. I mean, if you look
Some of their
at
best
the
ones.
reveal of Twilight Princess, I mean, people are crying in
Yeah.
the theater.
Oh, that's true.
You know,
yeah.
like that stuff. Like Nintendo has that power. They have that majesty.
Yeah.
But I feel like they squander it. But you're right. I mean, they save a lot of their big stuff for their directs because they do them so well and they do them on their own terms.
Okay.
They don't have to play by anybody else's rules. So
Yeah.
I think, you know, we're not hearing the last of Nintendo, but since this is an
Oh, yeah.
E3 podcast, like they are the losers.
Yeah,
by
they-
far.
they-
Actually, they might not be the losers by far because that PC press conference
Yes.
was a shit show.
I'm surprised no one
So
mentioned that one.
bad.
I
Which
gave
that
up.
was depressing because
It was really
I'm a
bad.
PC gamer and I was expecting bigger things, but then again,
Nothing.
it's the PC is like a cross company platform. It's like
Well-
it's not like it's Nintendo or Sony or Micro. Well, could be Microsoft,
Bethesda
but
had a really good press
Yeah.
conference and they're cross-platform.
well, no. Bethesda is one company across multiple systems. This is one system
Oh,
across
I see
multiple
what you're
companies.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Yes. So it's not like they had
No ex-
so it's
no
not like they had a
excuse.
single PR department completely focused on this is PC. There's no company that you could say is this is a PC company. Well, aside from it's like if it was a Valve PC presentation, then I could guarantee that the production value would have been better because they would have like one company pretty much showcasing or putting their effort into making the presentation well. Because right now it was kind of just like it was like more like a PC fan creating a professional presentation for it. So it's like
Oh,
I had higher expectations, but I'm not necessarily that
fair-
surprised.
To be fair, E3 is more about consoles than PC gaming generally every year. Like, there are
Yeah.
years where PC gaming has been just as bad at E3 as it was this year.
Okay.
Like, last year was kind of a good one for PC too, but it's usually not like that. This is really a console-focused thing, whereas the gaming convention that's out in Germany is more PC-focused over console-focused.
Gamescom.
Gamescom.
Yeah,
Yep.
Gamescom, yeah, is way more PC. Even PAX has stronger PC generally than E3 does.
Okay.
So it wasn't that surprising to me. But I like how you mentioned if Valve had done it. Nah, come on. If Valve had done it the way they've been going this year, we'd be flipping motherfucking tables, throwing our computers out windows.
But yeah, so well, that's actually a good segue to the next topic that I think we should hit up. What was the biggest surprise at E3?
I'll let you guys do the easy ones. I got.
It's like yeah, we do have a very big low hanging fruit in the room right now.
Jake, what do you guys say?
How bad Reggie is at Smash Bros.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a shocker.
Yeah.
That was a fucking shocker.
I thought he'd at least be a little bit competent. That was surprising.
That was really bad.
Well, it's funny. It's because afterwards he basically said flat out, "I was like, yeah, I don't play Smash Brothers. He plays all the Nintendo stuff, but he doesn't really play Smash Brothers that much. So it's like he just kind of picked it up, tried to handle the controls again, and then played someone who was one of the better players in the world.
Right.
What they should have done is pulled someone from the audience to play Reggie, to play against Reggie.
yeah, but Reggie talks some serious smack.
Oh, I know.
So
I know.
It had to be
Or he should have done something along the lines of like a trial by combat. He could choose a champion for him, and then he should have brought out like say like Mewtwo King or something like that. That would have been funny. But
I'm
Justin?
going to go with Final Fantasy VII Remake, because they were been saying for years that it's
And
never
the
going to
low-hanging
happen.
fruit
They
has been
know
picked.
it. I know, but like that is it, because they've
Yeah.
been Square has said we're not doing it, we're not going to do 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 it. fans are all like, "But we want it, we want it, we want it." Final Fantasy VII, there's not enough out there. Remake the game, and you're like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" That's like the most milked franchising game in history. But chill the fuck out. It's been done. But yeah, for them to finally do a complete turnaround on it and be like, "Hey, here it is," you're like, "Yeah."
Hi.
It's not
But-
real yet, thothough. It's
Yes.
not real because
Yeah.
it's
All they
just
have is a
cinematic
trailer video. For all we know, it might be a movie.
Yeah, like
Oh God, I would love that just to hear
They
the
would-
rapid internet fans cross.
We would.
Like,
There would be a full-scale riot.
I
oh,
mean,
it would be
I mean, they
it would
said
be oh, never go ahead.
Go for it.
they said we'll hear more in the winter about the game and what
Which
what's going to
means-
happen with it. But man, like think about Square Enix right now and like what they're working on. I mean, they have Final Fantasy 15, they have Kingdom Hearts 3.
They just released
they
Heaven
have,
Zord.
Tomb Raider. I mean, they have all these games that are like
Oh,
really
right, Square
big
Enix
that
is
they're
Tomb Raider.
working on right now. Yeah, exactly. They bought.
I
Crystal
forgot about
Dynamics.
that.
Yeah,
Yes.
Deus Ex 2. Yeah, like
That's true.
this is like the lowest thing on their priority list right now. So hey, they put together a nice
Weren't
trailer,
they-
but
didn't-
you gotta know that this game is 4 years out probably.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. Well, and that's
my guess, since it's an HD remake and it looks like they have been working on it. It's just they kept it very much under wraps. So
I don't know.
I if it is a game, but I'm my guess, holidays next year. That would be my guess.
Nah,
That would be my guess.
I
went
will
sweet
I
too.
will I will flip out if that's true, but it can't be.
Hey, they're
There's
saving.
no
Maybe they're
fucking-
saving that for next year's E3.
Well, that's, to be fair, like, what you just mentioned was probably my biggest gripe with E3 this year. The amount of shit that's been at previous E3
Yes.
that was still part of this year's E3.
Yeah,
No
that
Man's
was a
Sky.
surprise.
No Man's Sky being my biggest complaint because not only was it in last year's E3, it was a cornerstone and pivotal E3 for Sony,
Yeah.
like, of last year. Like, and you're still, and no mention of when it's coming out and blah, blah, blah.
No,
You're like,
no release date, still not like a ton of demo to it. Like people
Yeah.
still don't know what's going on with this game. Like I totally agree. Like
Yeah.
that's a big disappointment.
All right. So Tony, what's your biggest surprise?
My biggest surprise is actually a new IP from I think it's Guerrilla Games, the guys responsible for Killzone. It's a little game called Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
You mean
that-
the game that they just threw names against the wall or something?
Yeah, exactly. That zero did not need to be in there at all. I think it's just because like the logo looks
Japanese.
cooler, or it sounds cooler. But regardless, that was one of the biggest surprises because one, this is coming from a company that was kind of forced to make these Killzone games that more or less were kind of mediocre. But then, if you look at like the Killzone games in comparison to this game, it's like totally different. Killzone's a first-person shooter that's all ominous and gritty, whereas this is a third-person kind of action-adventure game that looks like bright and gorgeous. And like,
It looks very pretty.
I'm very excited to see what they do with this game. The gameplay itself looks really, really fun, and I mean, it's a different take on the post-apocalyptic world. They're not dealing with what the apocalypse is so far. What we
Yeah.
know, it just looks like here's society rebuilding after the world is over
With
and
robot
here's-
dinosaurs.
Yeah, and like that, it just seemed that kind of seemed weird to me at first. But you know what? I can get totally on board. It looked pretty cool as long as that game plays
Yeah.
good and there's some semblance of a story and there's a progression to it and it's kind of open world. I'm all about it. And
Okay.
like from these other reports that I've heard, there's like kind of like some Monster Hunter in there, where like different ways you take down these dinosaurs or robots.
Yeah.
you can gather different supplies from them depending on how you take them down, which is very much like a Monster Hunter game. So if this is like an actual playable Monster Hunter games, because I really feel like Monster Hunters, it's
Yeah.
always trying to tell you not to play this game because they make everything so goddamn frustrating and complicated and stupid. If this is like a better version of that, like a playable version of Monster Hunter, I'm all about it. So that's my biggest surprise.
To me, that game looked like the bastard child of Dino Riders, Turok, and Monster Hunter.
I
I
kind of
can-
like some of those games.
Yeah. that was definitely the other game for me that stood out. Because, I mean, to be fair, most of E3 going in was stuff you already knew. And then, so you had
Then
FF7
boom.
really, and then,
Shenmue.
Horizon. And
You mean the Kickstarter?
Well, that to me was like amazing to see stuff kickstarted at an E3 just by itself was kind of cool.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. But now looking back at that, I'm like, you just used part of your presentation to announce a Kickstarter. It's like, whoa, he just announced the Shenmue Kickstarter, and then you're like, oh wait, he just announced a Kickstarter.
And then it was funded within like 2 minutes. So
2 minutes, pretty much. Everyone probably took out their phones like money, or they threw money at their screens literally. But to me, my biggest surprise, the announcement of backward compatibility for the Xbox One.
That's huge.
That was that was probably the biggest surprise I've had. Plus I think it was probably one of the biggest announcements at E3. It's just that if they did that at first, I would have an Xbox One instead of a PS4. Because backward compatibility is huge for me. Because I have old games. I like playing old games. I don't want to have to pay again to play the games I've already bought. You know?
See, I do agree with that, but to a certain extent, there's only a limited amount of games that work on it right now. Some of them don't work very well. There's a lot of frame rate issues with some of these games. Do you really think they're going to bring back the entire catalog of everything that was on Xbox 360? No, that's not going to be it. So you still will have to bring out your system if you want to play certain games. And you know what? My 360 is sitting in a closet right now just collecting dust. But if I want to go back and play those games, I have no problem just plugging it in and going.
Well, the thing is, I kind of traded in a bunch of my 360 stuff aside from Rock Band because I was like, well, I'm not really going to be playing my 360 much now that I have the PS4 and the PC and the Wii U. So I'm like, okay, probably not going to get an Xbox One. Had they announced this earlier, I wouldn't have sold all my old games.
You fool!
Me fool!
I think it's more about how they're doing the backwards compatibility than the fact that they're doing it.
Well, what it looks like is that they're doing it similar to how they did the backwards compatibility from the 360 from the Xbox One. It is selectively backward compatible, and more games got, and basically the backward compatibility library increased over time, which is what they're doing with this.
Because that was them working within the architecture of the 360 and the original Xbox. They're running it through an emulator.
Yeah.
Which it makes it easier, faster, and they're using the cloud, so it's your cloud account. But that's what it is. Like, you're like, all right, Sony, why aren't you also doing something like this? Because running it through an emulator makes sense. I mean, that's just the way to do it in my mind. If you're going to do it, that's the way you can easily build backwards compatibility at a faster rate than they did with the 360 and the original one.
That's true. Okay. But yeah, that would be my biggest surprise overall. So, let's move on to our next one. Let's see. Well, this one should be a quick one. What do you think was the most anticipated announcement? Fallout 4, yeah.
People were looking forward to that, a year before, since last year's E3, and
well, they announced. Well, last year's E3 was Dragon Age.
Oh right, yeah, but I mean, just like it's been falsely leaked before.
Or no, it wasn't Dragon Age. It was
officially
Elder Scrolls Online
before. So a lot of people were really looking forward to that. I was looking forward to that. And they had a early press conference, so that was a big one.
Yeah.
Right. And they delivered too. I
mean,
the game looks really good.
And having custom creation, that's going to be fun.
Like a good-looking game. They had gameplay at E3 for people to walk around with. So I think landed really well and it was an impressive-looking title.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely Fallout 4 was probably the most anticipated game that people knew about, kind of knew about beforehand.
Well, for you guys, maybe that was the most anticipated, but I'm going to tell you right now, Uncharted 4 was my most anticipated.
You mean aside from the controller hiccup?
Hey, other than that, who cares? Who cares? Did you see that stuff? Did you see that trailer? Did you see that gameplay footage? Oh my god!
Oh, yeah, it
Prettiest
looked
game
beautiful.
I've ever seen in my life. Oh, and just another great-looking Uncharted game that looks like it plays really well. That has all that same charm. I can't wait. That's what got me jazzed the most. Outside of the new IPs and Fallout 4. Like I never was a big Fallout guy, but I'll probably play that game.
Yeah. You're not going to be hunting for a Pip-Boy?
No, fuck that.
$250 now, man.
No way.
I already got a pre-order on it. I could turn it around and sell it.
Dude, I'm just gonna duct tape my phone to my arm. Like that's good enough. I don't need that.
That's an iPhone. It's too big for my wrist.
I don't need it. My phone's even bigger than that. Who cares? I don't need that peripheral stuff. But
Might as well
I think
attach to a
Uncharted
power
4
glove.
looked so good. I can't wait to play this game. I can't wait to see more about it. I was looking for something big from that game, and I think they delivered. I mean, at the PlayStation Experience, they showed the first gameplay of it, and it looked great. And then this trailer just showed it in a different way. I mean, the first trailer of the game was more like stealth and like high action, but in like a lot of enemies around. And this is flying through cities in your car. Just all the classic Uncharted action that you could hope for, and they delivered. And I think I think that crushed it. I think it absolutely crushed.
Yeah. Granted, during that entire thing, the only thing I could think of was the song "Escape from the City" from Sonic Generations while they were driving around. So that was, but yeah, overall it looked very, very good, and I am definitely looking forward to that game. And it's PlayStation exclusive, so works for me.
I'm not a big Fallout guy, and I really haven't enjoyed the Uncharted series all that much overall. I'm just not a single player type of guy anymore.
Yeah, multiplayer games are big in my life again.
Yeah, so for me, like going in, the most anticipated thing was I heard Bungie was going to make an announcement, and I was like, wait, so you mean I don't have to wait another year for some new Destiny content? So that was for on a personal level, my most anticipated thing. But overall, I think
the delivery.
Everyone, don't get me started on how pissed I am about this collector's edition bullshit. Don't even start me, Kyle.
Or even better.
You know what? I just read an article, or I saw a headline where they're apologizing for that and they're trying to make up for it. I don't know what they're doing, but apparently they know they fucked up. But here's the thing.
And then they go.
You keep fucking up. All you do is fuck up.
Red Bull gives you quests.
Oh my god, oh Jesus Christ, the Red Bull shit
does.
Oh, Jesus.
All Destiny does.
It's a Red Bull exclusive.
God, I really want to enjoy that game because the mechanics are fun.
Oh, the mechanics are fantastic.
It's a great shooter.
Yes,
but man,
fundamentally.
They make it. It's almost like Monster Hunter, where they really try to make it hard for you to enjoy this game. It's
it's like
I would love to enjoy it,
it's
but
such
I can't.
Yeah, it's such a fluid game, and then they do this. It's like on the side. I'm like, oh no, I don't want that.
It comes down to how they treat their game, like the content that's coming out of it. You're like, all right, that's a good direction to go. I like everything I saw in the trailer. Sweet. That Titan thing's gonna fuck up my world because
it looks nice.
But all right, great.
It looks nice, and then bam, $60.
It's not even that. If they just did that, it's how they handle it in interviews. How flippant they fucking are about this shit. Like, you treating us like shit if we play your game. You can at least be like, we're sorry we're doing it. Little respectful about it. But no, you're like, hey, here's the middle finger, bitch. Like,
so in that case,
you know you're gonna buy it, you dumbass. You've been playing this game for so long with no content. You know you're gonna buy it. It's like they like dangling crack in front of you. It's like, you know you want to smoke it, Johnny. You know you're gonna do it.
What you buying?
You know it's gonna happen.
Oh yeah.
Those smug sons of bitches.
Oh my god, yeah.
I'm already saving up for the collector's edition. Like I'm emotes and shaders. Like I've been playing this game so fucking long. Yeah, you're right. I motherfucking want that content. I'm already pissed.
You are the problem. You are enabling them. You are letting them do this to you. Stand up for yourself.
Stand your ground, damn it.
Yeah,
but then again, I have no room to talk with Heavensward, so with Final Fantasy 14, I have no room to talk on that one because, that's a story for another day.
speaking about collector's editions, though, I think Fallout 4 is the greatest collector's edition.
Yeah, it's a Pip-Boy.
But it works, and it's less expensive than your traditional pre-orders are these days. And yet they have a working item.
It's not less expensive. It's as expensive. Less expensive would be if the collector's edition was $80.
Well, yeah, like most of them are like $130 to $150.
This is going to be 120 plus tax, which is going to end up being in the 130, 140 range. But beside the point.
It's got a working functional item you can utilize.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah,
it's a toy.
I agree. This is the first time in a while there's been a collector's edition that's worth buying.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, usually it's kind of like, they give you a little booklet and maybe a statue or something.
Or booklet and a statue.
Ooh, a cloth map. It'll be so cool. You can totally track your progress in the world with the map. I don't need that shit.
Right.
You hang that shit on your wall. That's what that's for.
And there we go.
Skyrim, I didn't even have to buy limited edition. Skyrim came with the map. So
there you go.
Right there.
I love it when the game actually has the map inside the game box, rather than just like a code that says, "Here, buy this." No. But all right, so going back to Destiny and the Rage, would you say that would be the biggest fail of E3?
It's been because dude, this game lit up the subreddit. Every interview has been negative, like just the way that they're handling everything about Taken King. You have a decent product. So
you would say that would be that would be a bigger fail than Metroid?
No, I wouldn't go that far because A, still stays true to the content of the game and expands the story, which House of Wolves really didn't do. House of Wolves expanded the map and kind of fleshed out the story we had, whereas Taken King is an actual story expansion, which is very much needed. Metroid, whatever the fuck they're doing, is not needed.
Tony?
I'm more disappointed by the lack of Morpheus in Sony's presser.
All right.
I mean, this E3 more than any other was all about VR. I mean, I'm shocked we haven't talked about it. I mean, a lot of the impressions that I've heard about Oculus are unbelievable, where you can interact with somebody else that's in a different room that could be across the world. Like, they didn't detail how that worked, but it's literally you're in a reality that you can, mess around with objects and toss things back and forth with another person and talk to them, and then they all of a sudden flip reality where you're shrinked and they're huge, and it's an unbelievable. Like, if you haven't read or listened to any accounts of this stuff, it seems like it's too unbelievable to be true. But I trust these people that are reporting on it, so it's got to be real. And then
we hope.
This HoloLens thing too. It seems like a very interesting application. I don't believe in it so much than the other VRs. I don't believe in AR over VR at all. But Oculus had their own presentation.
Yeah.
Obviously HoloLens was a big thing in the Microsoft presentation. Yep. Where was it in Sony? It was kind of just like a passing glance.
But didn't
and this is supposed to. What's that?
I've been hearing rumors. Didn't Oculus get kind of bought by Microsoft a little bit?
No,
I have no. That Facebook owns that shit.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But to be fair, in the Morpheus's defense, it was the largest presentation at DevCon in San Diego.
Yes.
Which was just a few months ago.
Okay. So maybe that was a big thing.
But this is E3, man. This is the world stage.
Yes. Yeah,
I
agree
get
with.
that, but it would have been, to be in Morpheus's defense, it would have been re-released trailer, video, and stuff. They haven't done anything in the span. Whereas Morpheus allowed them to be one of the largest presentations at DevCon, which was huge for them, backing and getting the name out earlier. Whereas Microsoft ignored it and waited for E3.
Yes.
Which, E3 is cool for us, the gamers.
Yeah.
DevCon is where you want to show that shit for the developers so they can work on games and stuff.
So essentially, DevCon's more the tech show rather than the the big presentations.
Yeah, DevCon is definitely the tech show. But E3 had that component this year that it normally doesn't have, which was the tech. So it was kind of like it was a cool thing to see in E3. And like when we talked about, I was going to talk about Microsoft in general and how I think they were the best show.
Well,
and that was
we'll get to that shortly. But Jake, what was your biggest fail for E3?
Yeah, mine's a bit more kind of out there and overarching. So I think the biggest fail with E3 was how old-fashioned it is. I mean, not saying like the virtual reality stuff, the next-gen consoles games are old-fashioned, but it's had the same format since, I don't know, since
ever.
The 90s?
Yeah.
Like, there was one thing I think that happened, which was like what should happen in a modern E3, which was when Bethesda announced their Fallout mobile game and then released it right from there.
That game's actually pretty fun.
That kind of stuff should be more standard practice. Like right now, it's like a week later, the hype's wearing down for these games that are coming out months to years later, but people are still playing this Fallout game. It's still a big deal because it was launched there on the spot, like with all the hype. And I think the biggest fail is that companies haven't yet really taken full advantage of how easy it is to get games with digital downloads and modern technology.
Well, Sony kind of did that with the Shenmue Kickstarter that launched right then and there, and Nintendo had
Ryu and Roy.
Yeah, had the Ryu and Roy announcement saying, "Guess what? They're available right now."
Right,
but they didn't do that at E3.
So
That's what they should have done at E3.
But still, like even like Final Fantasy VII, super jazzed about that.
Yes.
But we're speculating how far down the line it's going to be, like 4 years. Like
3 years or so.
There's not going to be any hype about that 2 weeks from now. So what was even the point of that trailer?
Hey, as long as it turns out, as long as it doesn't end up being like Beyond Good and Evil.
To be fair, like what Jake is mentioning, that's how I felt about Last Guardian.
Yes.
Last Guardian was leaked 2 or 3 years ago. Before E3, and so because it was leaked, they incorporated it as part of E3. But then we had to wait until now. Like that to me, that's not acceptable, really. Like,
no, it's not.
That's not a way to handle it at all, and that's what they've been doing. Like, for example, Kingdom Hearts 3, which I hate Kingdom Hearts. I think it's a shitty IP. I've never liked it.
Sorry for the hate mail.
Dude, I'm sorry. It's the most repetitive gameplay I could imagine, like, at that time for an RPG. Like, I just was like, I am so bored. I want to throw my controller at a wall. Sure, the characters were kind of interesting, unless they were Square Enix
Sora
characters.
was the emo guy.
Yeah, but, like, the Square characters were less interesting than their Final Fantasy counterparts. So I was like, I don't see how fans are like, oh my god, look, you can see them in a different context. Yeah, a different, shittier context.
But Mickey...
no release date. Like, none. They're just like, hey, this game's in development. I'm like, haven't you been working on this for like a fucking decade
I would say
now?
that would be my biggest disappointment, or I think the biggest fail. The lack of release dates.
Yeah, like, everything's in development. And you're like, well, that's really fucking fantastic. Thanks.
It's like they're just doing it for the show.
Yeah. I was like, this E3 made me really angry in general.
At times, yes. So, but yeah, for me, biggest disappointment, which I believe we've already gone through and mentioned, the Metroid thing, because I'm a big fan of the series, and not hearing anything about that was a big disappointment. Also, how Nintendo didn't want to announce anything with the Wii U version of Zelda, because I remember seeing the videos and pictures. That looks so pretty, but yeah, it's like I know they said they weren't going to do it, but I was kind of holding out hope.
Wait on that. They'll do their own Nintendo Direct all around Zelda. I mean, if they've treated Smash Brothers like this and they've got a lot of positive response, think about doing its own 30-minute, 45-minute, even an hour dedicated only to that game, where they can really get in deep to all these systems that are going to be in place, because apparently this game's going to be so drastically different than any other Zelda game ever. They could answer all the questions and really drive the hype, and then drop a release date all at the same time.
That's true, and they're probably using it for a direct.
Or
it's what they're doing with
drop a demo right after that. You know, like,
that could be good.
There's a lot of things that they could do with that.
Yes.
And again, Nintendo controls their own destiny when they do their own direct. So yeah,
that's true.
Zelda will be its own direct next year. You know, mark my words.
I hope so.
I think what Tony's just mentioning, that's something a lot of companies are doing. Even Bethesda has announced that they'll have big announcements in July on their own timetable.
Okay.
Especially the main one being that they were mentioned that like that's when ESO, which is now a huge game in the MMO world, like huge player base, dude, it's catching up to Final Fantasy 14 in players. Like it's growing still. I know you feel that way, Tony. We've talked about this before, but they've announced that they're gonna have that as its own announcement, kind of like Nintendo Direct does. Like that's what you're seeing more companies kind of embrace. I think that shows E3 that E3 itself, like Jake mentioned, needs to change because
it needs to go away. As much as I love this E3, I mean, like the way that news is dispersed now, we don't need E3 anymore. Like we don't need
sadly,
this shit.
but still, it's but you like the spectacle of it.
24/7, man. 24/7, 365.
I know, but it's like
we
you
don't
want
need
the
this
spectacle,
anymore.
but it's like the spectacle is fun. That's the best part about it.
You know what? It's great, and you know what? The industry will always have a show or something like this because a lot of deals get done at E3, a lot of networking happens at E3. But my God, like as a consumer of these things, I could I could digest all this stuff over the course of a year, as opposed to getting it dumped on us in 4 days and then feeling
but that's the fun part. That's the excitement. But
we have a podcast about.
Exactly.
We would have a podcast about fucking news every week, something that we're jazzed about, something I could just yell about.
In that case, let's finish it off with a. We actually got a comment. Kingdom Hearts 3 is like Half-Life 3.
Yeah, that's how it feels, dude. It's gonna be the next Duke Nukem Forever, man.
I don't know about that.
But it came out It came out finally, like a decade later, and that's how Kingdom Hearts felt.
Shit
like
and die.
They've always been talking about it. It constantly gets brought up. They're saying like, yeah, we're gonna have it. Don't worry. Like, you know what?
To be
I
fair,
just don't think that.
To be fair, though, at least with Half-Life 3, they've just Half-Life 2 Episode 2 just stopped, and then we haven't seen anything forever.
Yeah.
At least with Kingdom Hearts, we've had 2 or 3 games since Kingdom Hearts 2. You know,
but weren't they re-releases?
There's been re-releases, but there was Chain of Memories is between 1 and 2. That's my bad.
Yeah.
There was Birth by Sleep and Dream Drop Distance. You know, there have been games. And apparently, I haven't played either of those.
These game names are just driving me crazy.
I know they're stupid as fuck, but they're Japanese. That's Japanese. You know, that's what they do. But
Horizon something
Zero.
Zero.
At least they've put stuff out. Whereas when you look at Half-Life, nothing. We've gotten nothing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So you can't compare. It's like apples and oranges, man.
Okay.
I mean, everybody else is talking about Fallout 3. They never say anything.
What do you mean?
That's true. We haven't heard anything about Fallout 3.
Yeah,
ever.
Valve's
never said anything. I know.
Half-Life 3. Everybody in the
So I would say Kingdom Hearts 3 would be more like Duke Nukem Forever.
It's almost become a
eat shit and die, Mickey.
I wish Mickey would eat shit and die. I'm okay with that.
Well, yeah. All right. Well, well. On that note, let's move on to pretty much the final 2 topics. Let's start off with, in that case, what was the best in show? Here's the big one. What is the best in show?
I'm torn, because normally, of the big 3 companies, Microsoft was hands down the winner.
Okay.
I don't think Sony or and Nintendo definitely wasn't even in there. But as an individual company, I think Bethesda was almost close to where Microsoft was.
Okay.
I don't know. The way they presented both, I can't really decide if the HoloLens tips it over, or if the fact that Bethesda's hey, fuck you, E3, we're gonna have our own announcement later too, in a month. I don't even have to wait that long. It's gonna be, they said mid to early July they're gonna have an announcement. So
okay.
I think they both were just such stellar shows.
Okay.
Overall.
So Microsoft and Bethesda for you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Jake?
I think Bethesda straight up.
Okay.
And specifically Fallout 4. I don't think there was a single game that gathered that much attention, that much hype as Fallout 4 did. And it's got a soon release date. It's got a definite release date. and the pre-order for the collector's edition, it already sold out once. They had to restock it. Just
Twice. Sold out twice.
Results behind that hype and behind everything that Bethesda did, I think just dominated the entire show.
Yes. Okay. Tony?
Sony wins. Uncharted 4, the new IP Horizon Zero Dawn, Final Fantasy 7, and Shenmue. As much as I don't care about Shenmue, and I'm starting to not really care about Final Fantasy 7 that much. I'm excited and I love that game, but I need to see what that's actually going to be before I get super hyped about it. But regardless, I think their press conference showed more than anything else that they listen to their fans. And in The Last Guardian, we've barely talked about that. I mean, that game has been floating in the ether for 5 years? And I can't tell you how many times that before an E3, if you're listening to a podcast or reading articles, how often did The Last Guardian come up? Is this going to be there? Is it going to be canceled?
It's been asked every year.
It's going to be in flux. That's how that was. And they finally were like, hey, we're listening. Here's The Last Guardian. Here's Final Fantasy VII Remake. Here's Shenmue. Here's some new titles. Here's an amazing title in Uncharted 4.
Yes.
I mean, I feel like they knocked it out of the park.
Sony, I think, definitely won when it came to the games announced. However, I think Microsoft won overall because of the hardware announcements that they had, to me. But that's just me. But yeah, games, if we're going just by games, Sony. Sony followed by Bethesda. Just because of sheer volume.
On games, I think just the sport was better than any other show, any show, period. You had so many games on the floor that never got talked about. Mighty Number 9 barely got the hype it deserved. But it was on the floor, and I looked at the gameplay for it, and oh my god, I'm so excited. I love Mega Man. He's my favorite
it's made by the guy who made Mega Man.
Yep.
Exactly.
Inafune.
Inafune.
Yeah, fuck NT, fuck Star Force. I hated those. I was like, you almost killed Mega Man for me.
Mega Man
and
Legends.
Then Mighty Number 9. Dude, Mega Man Legends is a badass fucking spinoff. It's one of the best spinoffs I can think of, honestly.
You want the best spin-off? Mega Man Soccer.
That game was sick. I love that game.
Yeah.
Kart Racer was really good too.
Yeah. But, I mean, to have that spiritual successor for the character I love, I'm all down for it. And then there was so much shit on the floor. A new Harvest Moon, which I put up Harvest Moon when I played MMO at times just to have something to do while I'm waiting on queue times. Yeah.
Oh god. You're killing Goku.
Wait a minute. That works.
It looks like he's being devoured by the helmet.
It's pretty cool.
It's like this. Well, the thing. No. It's like the side of his face. It's because the shadow of the helmet made it look like he's like ah.
It doesn't fit very well.
I know, but yeah, watch the video after. You'll see what I mean. Just half the face was covered in shadow, so it looked like he was screaming in terror as the helmet was eating him.
But I definitely think the floor itself, this year overall for games, was so much better than any individual release. So.
Okay.
So that's came down to hardware for me with Microsoft because the floor was that much better. Mm-hmm. But the HoloLens, backwards compatibility. Yeah. I mean, no offense.
Well, of course we have.
Destiny, it's an Xbox thing because that's what I play on. But,
yeah. Well, one observation I really want to make though, it feels like Sony and Microsoft kind of switched what they were aiming for this year. While Sony kept focus. In addition to the newer games, they were also focusing a lot on the Call of Duties and all the other main games, like the big name games like Call of Duty. Or Call of Duty, Tom Clancy, all those fun games. Basically saying that these are going to be cross-platform, but guess what? Sony gets them first. I think from a business standpoint, that's pretty big. It's it might not seem big, but it might draw.
Who cares about Call of Duty anymore?
A lot of while we might not, a lot of people do.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people. I think they're fucking retarded.
Bunch of dummies.
Well, welcome to society. But then again, but that's gonna direct their purchases because they're gonna get it there first, or like Street Fighter V. It's like everything's like a cross-platform game. But Sony is essentially getting them first. So they're trying to get the initial wave, basically trying to draw people's purchases towards them first. I think that's a really big thing. And that's the other reason why I think Sony won this year in terms of games.
I don't know. I kind of disagree on one point I'm going to bring up. You see more of that, like how can we draw different people to game, and it's come to the point where you have content per game even. Like if you own X copy, you'll get this over Y copy.
Yeah.
And so this is just an evolution of that. Like how can we get players without really offering anything unique?
Yep. All right. But in that case, let's bring it up to the final topic. What is your overall opinion on the show? And then we'll call it. Tony, we'll start with you. Overall opinion on the show.
It was good, but like I said before, like how many more of these are left before they just get, before E3 stops again? But it was good. This was one of the most fun E3s of recent memory, especially with all the VR stuff. I mean, I wish we could talk more about that, because what I've heard in podcasts and read in articles, that was the most spectacular thing to come out of it. But, I mean, I can't speak to it personally because, I mean, you can't talk about VR unless you really experience it. Like, I've used Oculus before, but that was for, like, a movie trailer. And it was, like, really cool. And I was, like, on a virtual roller coaster and all that. But, like... Roller Coaster Tycoon VR version. It's not... You don't really know until, like, you've really experienced it. But apparently it's real now, So it was a good E3. I give it a 9 out of 10.
Oh, okay. Justin?
I'm probably about a 7, but I agree with Tony, man. E3 can go away, and I'll be just as content. I've got Gamescom and DevCon, and this sits in between, and I just really don't feel like it gets the content it needs to anymore.
Yeah.
Like, it's definitely progressively going downhill, and we could get rid of it.
Yeah. And Jake?
Yeah, I guess with the numbers, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. I got excited, thought everything was cool, but too many promises, not enough concrete deliverables.
Yeah. For me, I would give it honestly like a 7.5 out of 10. It's definitely in the upper quarter, or it's definitely in the upper half of E3s I've seen. Overall, there were a lot of great, huge announcements. Like we got the Final Fantasy VII, we got the Shenmue, we got the Star Fox, we had the backward compatibility, we have Uncharted, we have Fallout, and in addition to the Assassin's Creed and all that fun stuff. Like Unity was a goddamn joke, but then again I remember Black Flag was absolutely fun, and this one kind of looks pretty fun. Doesn't look like they have the ships, but it's jolly old England, so I think that's going to be kind of interesting. But overall, Nintendo's presentation, very fun, not much game content, not much game hype aside from say like Star Fox or Mario Maker. Sony, crap ton of games, very very good, and Microsoft, very very good on the hardware. So overall, I would say 7.5 out of 10.
Cool.
Yep. But yeah, so that about wraps it up for our Pass the Controller E3 review special. I'd like to give a huge thanks to Tony, Justin, and Jake for coming on tonight. Definitely appreciate it, and I'm glad we're able to get this, basically get this done. So
listen to my podcast, Co-op Required. Just search it on the internet. COOP Required.
Spoilers, it sucks.
It's not very good. But you listen to it.
I have been listening to it. It is very enjoyable. Definitely enjoyable.
I listen to it at work. Makes work much more enjoyable.
Definitely worth it.
Guys.
Yeah, I would say, hey, put on Co-op Required and then listen to PTC afterwards.
There you go.
You got a nice double helping of awesome video game knowledge. So, well, that is our show for tonight. Thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you all again next time. Bye-bye now.